Namaste, everyone. Namaste. Welcome to Sunday night at Rev D's house. We're at my house. For a few more weeks, we're at my house. Then I don't know what will happen, but today we're at my house. So it's so great to have you here with me. So great. So for those of you who are new to me, my name is Reverend Denise Schubert. I am an ordained Science of Mind minister who is currently kind of in retirement, except for you. And we have been streaming live for a while. So we're here again tonight to simply just pause in the middle of our week to think some spiritual thoughts, to entertain some spiritual ideas. So if you're here with me, say hello. Hi, David. Welcome. Yes, tonight I'm so excited about tonight. I'm going to tell you that the creative process, as outlined and laid down by Dr. Ernest Holmes, has been. Here's what I want to say to you. People who know me as a master manifester. Like, I just have this thought and I just do what I do and things begin to happen. And I'm going to tell you why. It's because I believe in this. I believe that the way things come into existence is through this process, through this creative process, and through some kind of quantum field of possibility that's activated and actuated by our thoughts and our intentions and our attention. And so it is my joy to share with you tonight, and really next week probably too, because it's kind of we are actually studying the 10 core concepts. Let me show them to you if you're new before I pray us in. So we have 10 core concepts, and these are them. Last week we talked about oneness, and tonight we're going to talk about the triune nature and maybe bleed into the creative process a little bit. But these first three are incredibly important to this philosophy, faith, and way of life. So that's kind of where we are tonight. Before I pray us in, let me kind of handle our kind of regular our regular announcements. So one is, yes, okay, great. One is tomorrow night, on Monday nights, we unpack tonight on Zoom. So this particular StreamYard is me talking to you and you listening. Zoom is me listening to you. So if you want to talk about this more, and you might, because it's kind of big. It's kind of big. It's like, if you really get this, it will alter your ability to bring forth whatever it is you want to bring forth. So it's important. Also, as an announcement, is that I'm happy to accept your donations, your love offerings, and your whatever it is, since this is kind of what I do for work now. So you can just go click on this link or go right to my webpage and do that. If you're so moved, it's okay. If you're not so moved, there's no pressure here at all in any way whatsoever. So, so who else is with me? Toby, hi. Heather, hi. So great to see you all. So great. It's awesome, always awesome to be here with you. Way better than being here by myself. Can you imagine how really, truly lonely and boring it would be here if I was talking to myself? So as I stated in the announcement for this is not for metaphysical sissies, because it's kind of deep, so it's not, there's nothing, in my view, and if you know me, you know this, I am not a woo-woo person. I am not I'm very practical. So if things work, they work. And if they don't, they don't. And I'm going to tell you that this idea of how the entire manifested universe got created is a divine idea, and I believe it to be true. Hello, Janelle Miller. This is my sister, my younger sister. always happy to see her with me here as well. So why don't I take a moment, and we have a lot of material tonight. I'm going to ask you just to kind of hang in there with me. I did create a chart to help us navigate and to see what's actually going to happen here. Because again, Dr. Ernest Holmes was also pragmatic. He was also very practical. Hi, Terry. So in some ways, this study and this practice is rather intellectual in some ways. So it's not really, this deep connection with God and this oming moment and the sitting on a mountaintop. It's really more, how do I live in the world and exercise my God-given ability to navigate it? That's really my lane. I operate in the lane of practical spirituality. And it's not that my meditation practice isn't deep. It's not that I don't love prayer. It's not any of that. It's just that without this understanding, without this background, you will wonder why life doesn't go the way you want it to go. Or you'll wonder why you can't derive the most out of the way that life does go. So we're going to dive into core concept 2 and begin to bleed into core concept 3. And we're going to do that as soon as I pray us in. We have to create a context. So the context we create in this moment is one of sacred connection, of consciously connected community, this recognition that we come together, that you have been called here. There's no accident. Who in their right mind takes an hour or so out of their Sunday night to come do this? Not everybody. Not most people, but you did and I did. And so I'm going to accept for us that we are here by divine appointment. And I'm going to start by blessing our time together, which is to fully recognize that there is a power, there is a presence in this universe greater than we are. It is intelligent, it is beautiful, it is wise, it is harmonious. I call it God, but you don't have to. You can call it life, you can call it quantum physics, you can call it love, but that it causes flowers to bloom. You and I do not do that. You and I did not create our own bodies, that there is some organizing principle. And it is in that we meet, because whatever that is, it created all of us equal. It created all of us connected, this magnificent web of connection. And so I know that's easy for me in this moment to bless our time together, calling it good and very, very good, knowing that we garner some wisdom, some aha moment, something that helps us to navigate our life when we leave here tonight. I accept that for myself. I accept it for you. And so I just simply call this time perfect and whole, as it must be, based on core concept 1, which is oneness, unity consciousness. That is where we meet, unified. And so we just let this time be. We let it be together by saying, and so it is. Amen. All right. So core concept 2. So core concept 1 is oneness. That this idea that we are connected to each other, unequivocally connected, no matter how separate you think you are, no matter how different you think you are, no matter how we live in a consciousness of us and them, that the truth is, I am you, you are me, I am the elephant is me, the tree is you. We are connected. And whatever we do to the other, we do to ourselves. Whatever we do to ourselves, we do to the other, which is why it is so important that we begin to embrace this idea and begin to act in accordance with it. And you'll see, once you wrap your spiritual arms and mind around tonight's lesson, you will see why that's true and why it is so important that we walk our walk and talk our talk of love and peace and harmony. So core concept 2 essentially is the triune nature of the universe, threefold nature of the universe. And I don't really, last week I read the core concept, and I might read it at the end, but it's a little bit hard to understand. And I think that I can actually present it to you in a way that's more accessible. But remember that these core concepts, the way that they were laid out in the curriculum, is that there's the concept according to God and the concept according to how that shows up in human beings. So there's two aspects of every core concept that we have to embrace, because God is the macrocosm and we are the microcosm. God is the big idea and we are the lesser idea, not lesser, but the microcosm. So let's go through the universal of core concept 2. The universal is that God or life, if really, I'm serious, if you have an issue with the word God, don't use it. Find some other word. But there is something great. You didn't make yourself. So I don't know what made you and me, but it wasn't me. And life has meaning and purpose. So it's not like we're accidents or we're chaotic or we're puny. I mean, we're created out of magnificence, whatever that means. So, universal idea is that God is triune in nature, having three aspects, or pardon my typos. For those of you who don't know, I had a stroke in November, which affected my vision. So, typing and reading is really, I am working so hard at it, but I can see now I have a typo. But anyway, God is triune in nature, having three aspects of being within the one: spirit, soul, and body. So spirit, soul, and body, these are not new terms to you, but we're going to make them new to you because they directly apply to how the manifested universe comes into existence and how you get to participate in creating that. So this triune nature is God, spirit, or universe in macrocosm. Now, God represents really all three. So all three exist inside of God as modes of being. So spirit, normally, when we hear the word spirit, we often think that spirit, we mean God. But in this particular presentation, spirit is something very particular, which we'll talk about in a minute. Soul is something very particular, and it's not what you think. We'll talk about it in a minute. And then, of course, body is the manifested universe. Take a breath. It's deep. It is deep. So that's this is the universal take on triune nature, the threefold nature. So this is the human, the relationship between God and humans. So each human being is God in microcosm. So God is macrocosm, we are microcosm, thus endowed with a triune nature, and we express that nature in all three aspects of our being: spirit, soul, and body. Now, okay, take a breath. So spirit, I actually kind of want to go to my chart. So I'm going to go to my chart here because it will help me talk about it and it will help you visualize it, I think. So let's see if that's true. Do not get wigged out here too much. So spirit, and there is a direct analogy that's used in the teaching, which is seed, soil, and plant, which is very powerful. So I'm going to just explain this chart and then I'll come back to you so you can see me. So spirit, soul, and body. Spirit is the spiritual truth of everything and everyone and of God. It is love, peace, harmony, causation. It is the place of all ideas, of all creativity, of all newness. It is spirit. It is a spirit that is not only God is a spirit, but we are spirit. So you have a spirit. So one of the threefold natures of you and I is that we are spirit. It is the reason. In fact, I'm going to, let's see. So in the core concept, it says, my conscious mind is universal spirit, individualized as my spirit. It is a source of my intellect, my spontaneity, my capacity to love, to reason, to originate, to choose, and take charge of my life. So that is a part of you that is not stuck in the past. It's a part of you that can create your future. It's a part of you that can make up new stuff. It's a part of you that can transcend anything. And it's in you and in me. Soul is twofold in this core concept. And I know this is deep, but stay with me. It's so important. Soul does not mean the soul that goes to heaven. Soul means it is the creative medium in the universe that takes what spirit gives to it and creates. So it's existing subconscious beliefs. So beliefs you don't know you have. It is all memory. Your memory and human memory lives in soul. And it is the substance out of which everything is made. I mean, everything. So, I'm going to turn this off so you can see it. So the entire manifested universe is the function of spirit and soul. And the manifested universe means everything, every building, every seed, every tree, every flower, every emotion, every thought, every manifested experience. Now, I'm going to turn this off for a moment and come back to you and talk about, I can see all of you who are with me are still with me. That is so good. So let's use the accessible analogy of seed, soil, and plant. So spirit or God as consciousness, God as conscious mind is the seed. So when you plant a carrot seed in order to grow it, you have a thought, I want to have a new job. I want to create a world that works for everyone. These are conscious thoughts and they are seeds. And part of what we're doing in our spiritual journey here is to learn how to be conscious seed planters. We want to live life on purpose, not accidentally, not by default, not based on the past. We want to live life from a space of creation. And we're made to do that. We don't know that we're made to do that because most people don't live from the spirit. They live from the manifested universe. We live from the effect. So we live from the result, thinking, oh my God, the created world is exactly what it is. So we have to figure out how to live in it. No, we're actually designed in such a way as a microcosm of the macrocosm to create. The tool of creation. This is important if you have a pencil. The tool of creation is thought or mind. Your mind and God's mind are connected. So when you and I think, we think within the same mind that thought the planets into existence. We think our life into existence, personally and universally. So spirit, seed represents spirit. You with me so far? So let's pretend the seed is a carrot seed. Let's just pretend. So we plant the carrot seed into the soil or the soul. And the soul, the aspect of God, knows what to do with it. It says, oh, there's this carrot seed. I am going to take the substance of the universe and I'm going to create a carrot. And at some moment, that seed becomes a plant. The plant itself is embody. So the seed gets planted into the soil and the soil creates the carrot. Now, a couple of very important things about how this works. God never says, the soul, the creative process never says, oh, I just don't feel like creating a carrot today. If you plant a carrot seed, a carrot must grow. The universe will not create a tomato out of a carrot seed. Are you with me? It will, if the conditions are right, if the conditions are proper, the carrot must present itself as in the manifested universe. If you plant a tomato seed, you're going to get a tomato. If you plant an apple tree, you're going to get an apple tree. Now, that's the universal. That's how it works. If you I just want you to know how truly impossible this is to do in an hour. So we're going to carry on next week, and tomorrow night we can unpack it. So please do join me tomorrow night. But if you plant a seed that says, I am poor, the universe can never, ever manifest money, because it's not how it works. It's the same idea that you cannot grow. You can have a carrot. You're only going to carrot from a carrot seed. You can't get a tomato. So if you're over there thinking all the time, oh, poor me, I'm so poor, I'm so sick, I'm so lonely, the universe just says, okay, well, let me produce some loneliness. Let me produce some poverty. Let me produce some sadness. So we're wanting to cultivate the ability to transcend the everyday way of thinking with new thoughts. Now, remember I said, let me go back here for a second to show you. Remember I said, so in here, so here's the substance. The substance, you can call it whatever you want. It's the DNA, it's the molecules, it's the atoms, whatever this substance is that creates things. When you plant a carrot seed, the substance organizes itself to create a carrot. If you plant a tomato seed, the substance organizes itself to create a tomato. If you plant sadness, it organizes itself to create sadness. It organizes itself to create human beings or trees or whales or elephants or flowers. But when we say God is in everything, we literally just mean that whether it's an elephant, a tree, or a flower, it's still made from the same stuff. It's just organized differently. Take a breath. That's one. And so the memory, so here's how memory works. So when we're children, so the memory is both personal and universal. It's both present and historical. So the soul of the universe contains all the memory of anything that has ever happened, ever been said, ever been experienced, ever been, all of it. And that, there's no way I can really show this to you, but our memories become the manifested universe. So if in your life you have, in your past as children, let's say you were dancing on the table and your mother called you clumsy and that you should never be a dancer, that gets put into your memory, and then it manifests in your life until it doesn't. But as an unconscious memory, it will outpicture in your experience. So you may never dance again. You may declare yourself as being clumsy and feel clumsy your whole life, because the soul, what's ever in the subconscious, becomes manifested. And the way out of that trap, because it is a trap, it is a no-win situation. It's why the past almost always dictates the future, is because we don't know that that's how it works. So our challenge, you and me, our challenge is to become conscious creators rather than unconscious creators. Let me say that again. Our challenge is to become conscious about our creations, to recognize that you have the ability to be a seed planter. So no matter what your life has been, no matter what your situation is, if you live in lack, you can live in abundance. But you can't live in abundance if you don't believe you can. Because remember this I'm going back. Oh, it's not in here. It doesn't matter. But remember that the universe says yes to whatever you say. So the universe is saying yes to your subconscious memories, or it's saying yes to your conscious direction. So God doesn't, the divine spirit does not, there's no precedent, there's no past, there's no predictable, there's no, oh, I've been sad, therefore I'll always be sad. Or there's no, I planted carrot, but I really want a tomato, but can't have one. It's like we become conscious seed planters. So the creative process within us as a microcosm of the macrocosm. And by the way, this is wholly in alignment with quantum physics. Do not think it is not. Quantum physics literally says that there is a field of unlimited potentiality in which all things are possible, and we bring that potentiality forward with our minds, with our thoughts, with our beliefs, with our intentions. That in that field of potentiality is abundance or lack, and whatever happens, happens because you say so, not because it's predestined for you to be lacking. So when we teach, and as you'll see as we move through the core concepts, when we teach prayer and affirmations, vision boarding, in setting intentions, it's to become a conscious seed planter. Now listen, when I first heard this, I got it almost immediately, and I was ecstatic. Why? Because it put life back in my control. So if we believe that life just happens to us without our involvement, then we are victims. If you believe that you can alter the course of your life through the power, a God-given power, by the way, it's not, you don't make this stuff up. You didn't make yourself, you didn't make your own body, and you didn't make this process either. But once it's like seed, soil, plant. If you want to eat carrots, you better plant a carrot seed. It truly is as simple as that. If you want to eat tomatoes, you better plant a tomato seed. I mean, if you plant a tomato seed thinking you're going to get carrots, that makes you a fool, right? Or ignorant at best and foolish at worst. So if you and I know this isn't easy because some of us have really deep-seated beliefs and deep-seated patterns of behavior and deep-seated understandings about why we can't have what we want and why we can't be what we want. But this law says, this creative process, this triune nature says, if you will plant a seed of happiness, happiness is what you must have. You cannot plant seeds of happiness and have sorrow. It does not work that way. And I know I may be making it sound easy, but the truth is, it is pretty easy. And for those of you who know me, I manifest. So I do believe this, and I do prove it to myself. You know, there's a beautiful passage of the Bible that says, "Prove me now in this." Prove me now just means prove the principle. Show me that it works. So I'm curious. And let me see if there's any comments over here. So if you have any questions, ask them. Tomorrow's better because we can talk to each other. But if you have any questions, ask. So the manifest universe, or the body of God, is the logical and necessary outcome of the knowingness of spirit. And the knowingness of spirit is this awareness of God knowing itself. You know, Einstein said, "I want to know God's thoughts. The rest are details." I should have put this up here. I'm going to put it up here. I want to know God's thoughts. The rest are details. Let me see how I can do this. Oh, not bad. Okay. Yeah. So, so Einstein said this. I did not say this, but essentially what it's saying is your mind and God's mind or your mind and the creative mind of the universe are joined. It's not like you have a brain and you're out there. The brain is an instrument of receiving and sending. Your brain is not who you are. Your brain is like your heart. Who you are is an individualized expression of spirit. Your mind and the mind of God are joined. So Einstein is saying, I want to know what God is thinking. Is God planting carrots? Is God planting tomatoes? Is God, because whatever that is, the rest are details. The manifested universe is an effect, not a cause. It's a detail. It's the result. And it's the result whether it's love or war. So when you look into our world, let's forget about us personally. Let's look into the big picture. If you look into the world and you see more war, more hate than love, what does that mean? I'm going to show you what it means. If in the world you see more hate than love, here's what that means. That means that in the soul, in the memory, the collective consciousness, there is more hate than love. That's what it means, because whatever's in there must manifest in the world, like carrot seeds. So hate must manifest conditions that express that. So the only way we can change what shows up in the world is change what shows up in soul so that the substance can wrap itself around it and create the molecules of love. But in order to do that, you have to start at spirit. We have to plant seeds of love. Now, the only way that it works on the collective is if enough of us do that, right? So why practical metaphysics is so important is because it depends on you and me. So the only power, here's the thing, the only power we have to change the world or to have it be different is by changing ourselves, period. There is no making the world more loving if you keep planting seeds of hate in your personal life. So that's why you have to forgive everyone. You have to become more loving. You have to become more hopeful. You have to become a creator of positive expectation, because there's no way out. What you think is what you are. What you think is what you get. And whether you're thinking consciously or subconsciously. So again, spirit is conscious, soul is subconscious. I should have put that in there. Spirit is conscious, soul is subconscious, and body is the natural expression of all of that. So that's why when you find yourself getting irritated, or you find yourself thinking thoughts of lack and limitation, when you get into pity parties, when you get into nobody likes me, it is upon you to change your mind. It is upon you to plant seeds of friendship, to plant seeds of companionship, to plant seeds of romance, to plant seeds of money. Whatever it is you're wanting more of, it's depending on you to consciously begin to generate that. Now, I'll close with this thought. We could do this, really, we could talk about this for hours. And I do apologize. I know this is really deep, but it is the key to your life. It is the key to our life. When you have an empty pocketbook, the reason you have an empty pocketbook is because you have a belief in an empty pocketbook. I want to make it that simple. That your conditioning, I mean, depending on how you were raised, what you believe about yourself, what you believe about money, what you believe about rich people, poor people, all of that has lent itself to your financial life. So you may be with an empty pocketbook right now, because remember, a carrot produces a carrot. So you may have a carrot. You may have a carrot, and what you really, really wanted was an apple. You have to go back to the source. You have to go, I'm going to take you back again. You have to go back up to spirit and plant an apple seed if you want an apple. So if you want a life with more prosperity and abundance, you have to go back to the beginning, first cause, and you have to plant seeds of prosperity. And there is no way around that, because you and I are in control of our personal manifestations. Now, it is true that we also participate collectively. So it becomes more not hard to understand, but more challenging, because we don't think alone. If your mind and God's mind are connected, your mind, God's mind is also connected to 7 billion people. And 7 billion people are creating at this very moment through conscious and subconscious thought, which is why you can see hate in the world even though you're loving, because it's not just you. You're not the only person participating in collective consciousness. You're also not the only person creating in your consciousness as well, because you have husbands and wives and mothers and fathers and daughters and sons and friends. And so we have to become guardians of our own, at the portal of our own consciousness. But you're not governed by them. You're governed by you. So I just encourage you to begin this week to explore. And you can, by the way, you can come back and you can listen to this over and over and over again. So you're not stuck with just trying to remember this. Now, I don't know that you can see the picture I did. I'm not quite sure how to get that to you. I guess I could, maybe I'll put it on my website. I'll do that. I will put that graphic on my website so you can see it. But if you just remember seed, soil, plant, just remember that you are planting seeds, knowingly or unknowingly. But if what you're experiencing in your life, whether in form or emotions or experiences or feelings, they are the result of your unconscious or your conscious seed planting. So your job always is just to plant seeds. And what time is it? Let me see here. What time is it? We have some time. So I'm going to keep going for a minute. Is that okay? Okay to keep going? Because another important piece of this is environment. So you do know that when you plant a carrot seed, that in order for the carrot to actually show up, it needs some things. Yes? It needs what? You could tell me, if we were talking tomorrow night, you would tell me it needs water, sunshine, soil. It needs the right environment. So, and it doesn't mean the process isn't working. If the environment's not good, it just means the environment's not good. I mean, we live in a very complex manifested universe because there's so many forces at play here. But let's talk about your job in environment. Because that's your job. Your job is to create the environment. If you don't have enough love in your life and you want more love, so if you say, oh my God, Reverend Denise, I so get this, I want more love. And you consciously start praying and meditating and affirming, I accept love in my life. I affirm that I am a lovable person, right? If you just start planting those seeds, you have to create an environment that those seeds can flourish. So you got to get out of toxic relationships. You have to change the way you communicate. You will have to provide the water, the soil, and the sunshine on your seeds. You will have to do that. If you have an addiction and you want to get sober, you have to create the environment for sobriety. You cannot just say, I'm creating sobriety for myself and then going to the bar and hanging out with your friends. It is an environment that is not conducive to a really delicious carrot. So your job is to plant the seed with sincerity, with conviction, with commitment, with love, with belief. You know, Jesus said, and I don't quote Jesus very much for most of you, Jesus said, "It is done unto you as you believe." And belief can be conscious or subconscious. Now, if you live in lack and don't want to, you have a belief in lack somewhere subconsciously. I promise you. Otherwise, it wouldn't be, a carrot wouldn't exist without a carrot seed. So in order to change that, you've got to move upstairs to spirit, plant a new seed, create the environment that is conducive to that showing up, which means changing. It means changing your mind. You know, Ernest Holmes said, change your mind, change your life. Change your life, change your thinking. It is an irrefutable principle that I want you to embrace. If you're hearing this for the first time, it may take a minute. If you're hearing this for the fifth time, I'm not kidding. You have to embrace it, embody it, and practice. And if you do that, I promise you, if you do that, your life will begin to change. The world will begin to change. It's the only power we have. Change your thinking. It's the only power we have. Otherwise, we will be victims eternally. We will be stuck in the past eternally. We will be stuck in cycles of we will be stuck in karma. Spirit trumps karma. Oh, that was such a big thing I just said. Spirit, I'm going to give it to you in writing. Spirit trumps. Just amazed I can do this with my eyes. I just do to that. Oh, I think I just said it. Oh yeah. Okay. I just typed in the chat. That's fine. So karma is what happens in soul. Reruns. Life is a rerun. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. There's not enough money. There's not enough love. Look at my history. My parents got divorced. My wife left me. I've always been fat. I'm just stupid. Those are all unconscious beliefs that continue over the rerun of your life lives there. But spirit trumps karma. So if you move upstairs and start consciously architecting your life, the karmic wheel begins to change and you begin to have a new experience. People around you begin to have a new experience. So I think this is enough for tonight. This was very big. I truly love teaching this because it is the secret. It's like the secret to our having any power or control at all over our manifested universe. So one more time, I'm gonna put this out on my website. I'm not quite sure how to do that, but I will. So spirit, soul, body. Let me get rid of this. Spirit, soul, body. Spirit is conscious creation, first cause. It's the place of all love, all creativity, all innovation. Nothing new comes out of soul. Nothing. Soul's pure purpose is to make manifest in the body of the universe that which is thought into it. It has no control. The only control exists in spirit, which you have. So remember, if we go back, the triune nature is God is spirit, soul, and body, and you are spirit, soul, and body. Why? Because you were made in the image and likeness of the thing that created you. And whatever that is, your ability to do that is a God-given gift. That's just the way it is. So we just covered really core concepts 2 and 3. So core concept 1 is oneness. Core concept 2 is a triune nature, spirit, soul, and body. And the creative process is how it works. So I think we're going to let core concept 2 and 3 exist here tonight. Oh, in fact, let me read here. Let me, because we did this, let me read from the core concept, right? We have sheets, core concept 3. Let me just read the opening part of it, because we're going to move into prayer next week, which is the 5-step treatment, spiritual mind treatment that Ernest Holmes created to actually activate this process. And it's incredibly powerful. I've been doing it for 20 years. I do it out loud. I do it in writing. I teach it. But let me read this. Core concept 3. So from the universal perspective, from God's point of view, the macrocosm, it says, Spirit is the great causative power of the universe. The word or thought of God eternally initiates the divine creative process. The process, law, is continuously set in motion to create from the unformed substance innumerable forms which follow the thought patterns of spirit. This is purely just saying God thinks and shit happens. That's what it's saying. Right? Einstein said, I only want to know the thoughts of God. The rest are details. So God created the universe, the galaxy, the planets, the birds, the bees, you, all of it. God thinks, it becomes. That's the macrocosm. So the human, the way it works for us is, it says, since the human spirit is one with universal spirit, and since this human spirit is one with universal spirit, and the human subjective, it says, through my conscious thinking and my subjective beliefs. So your subjective beliefs live in soul, your conscious thinking lives in spirit. I and you reenact in microcosm the continuum of creation. Thus, according to my thinking and beliefs, I co-create the conditions of my life. My thoughts tend to reproduce in my experience a reflection of the consciousness behind it. Changing my consciousness and therefore my thinking brings about a change in my experience. Plant a new seed, you get a new result. This change can occur, however, only in accordance with my acceptance and embodiment of the truth expressed here. It is done unto you as you believe. The universe can give me only the good that I can consciously accept, recognizing that it is mine. It is mine because of who I am. And who you are is, well, I've known some very bodacious people who would say who you are is a mini God, that you are God in expression. You may not be all that God is, but all that you can possibly be is made out of the substance that creates everything. So there you have it. Now, how can we live puny, restricted lives if that's the truth about who we are, right? All right. So I think I think we'll end it there. I'm going to pray with you. Next week, we'll talk about prayer. I please do encourage you to sign on to Zoom tomorrow at 6 p.m. It should be a very rich and stimulating conversation. I look forward to your questions and your sharing. You know, this is a deep metaphysical teaching. I happen to believe personally that it's not beyond your grasp or my grasp, that human beings can learn and can change and can be different. So I always enjoy this part of the process of really getting, the creative process is like gravity. It doesn't matter if you believe in it. You have been creating your life from the day you were born. And you started out at day one as this unlimited potential. And through the years, you got programmed into living a certain kind of life subconsciously. And now's the day that you wake up and you get to start consciously planting your own seeds. I affirm that for you. So join me tomorrow on my Zoom. And the Zoom is easy. It's just my phone number, 479-283-9409. Join that number. There's no password or anything. And and think about it. Let yourself be enlivened. Go to my website. Go to my website to reach out to me. Go to my website to see some great photographs of African animals. We'll talk more next week about what's happening with me, because we're going to have a hiatus here for a few weeks, I think. But until then, let's pray. So take another breath. Keep in mind that we're not praying a typical beseeching prayer, asking God to do anything for us. Listen, God doesn't do things for us. God gave us a gift to do things for ourselves. And so when we pray, we are simply aligning ourselves with that which already is. And so we begin always by recognizing our oneness. We recognize one power, one presence, one life, one love, one creative process, one wisdom, one. I call it God, but you don't have to. Call it love, call it universe, call it spirit, call it quantum physics. I don't care what you call it. Call it, Ernest Holmes called it the thing itself. I love that. So the thing itself, we recognize it. And we recognize it happily with joy, not with any fear or, I don't know. We just recognize it. We recognize that if it is all that there is, then we must be one with it. We cannot be apart or separate. We are unified with the universe. We are created by the universe. We are one with the universe. Everything that it is, we are. The carrot seed and the carrot are not different. They're the same. So I recognize in this moment my oneness with all that is and your oneness with all that is. And I know from that place of connection and community and love that I can speak my word for and about you, for and about myself. The word being the seed I'm planting. I plant a seed on our behalf that we awaken tonight, that we raise in consciousness tonight, that we have some insight, some revelation, some inspiration that leads us into a more powerful expression of being, that we release some sense of being victims of our circumstances, some sense of being victims of Fox News, some sense of being victims of our politics, some sense of being a victim of COVID. And then we recognize that we have the capacity, a God-given capacity, to co-create and architect our life through becoming conscious and awake and aware. I accept that for us, each and every one of us, to whatever degree it happens tonight. And so it is with gratitude that I simply affirm this truth. It's with gratitude that I plant the seed into the willing, able hands of the creative process to wrap molecules around it for me and for you. And that what must come to pass is a different experience. It's just like gravity, how it works. And so I am so grateful in my own life for all that has transpired, from my own awareness of the rule book of life. Listen, this is what we were never taught. And so I just release my word happily into the soil creative process. I release it into the soul of the universe, expecting and accepting the fulfillment of the prayer. I expect and accept the carrot, and it is good. We let it be that way. We accept it too. We just simply release it. Together, we accept it by saying, and so it is. Amen. Hugh is right, Heather Abbott. Hugh is right. So I'm going to figure out tonight with a glass of wine how to post some of this on my website. So go to the front page. I'll put it right on the front page. I'll see some of you tomorrow night, and I'll see all of you next week to learn for yourself how to pray a special prayer of manifestation. So have a wonderful evening, and I will see you somewhere down the road. Peace and blessings. Thank you. Bye.